This is my review of the movie Star Trek First Contact. Now, I watched this over the weekend, more so because of the fact the previous movie I watched was Star Trek Generations, so I'm watching them in order. And obviously, for those of you who've been watching Star Trek Picard season 3, which is the final season, will know how relevant this movie is to season 3 of Picard. The movie came out in 1996 and was directed by Jonathan Frakes, who also plays Commander William T. Riker in obviously the Star Trek Generation and in the Star Trek movies. The movie stars Patrick Stewart, Jonathan Frakes, Brent Spiner, LeVar Burton, Michael Dorn, Gates McFadden, Marina Sirtis, Althea Woodward, James Cromwell, and Alice Krige. And the screenplay was by Brannon Braga, Ronald D. Moore, and the story by Rick Berman, Brannon Braga, and Ronald D. Moore. Now, as you can see, this is the Blu-ray Steelbook version that I've got in the actual background. I do have the complete Steelbook collection of the Star Trek movies from Star Trek The Motion Picture up until Star Trek Nemesis, which was the last Next Generation movie. And these particular steelbooks were released because it was celebrating the I think it's the 50th. Let's see if let me have a look here. Yeah, it was celebrating the 50th anniversary of Star Trek. So at the time when I bought this particular one, the particular set, there was a site called Zoom that was selling them, and it was selling them dirt cheap, and even up to a point where it was based. They were doing a deal where you buy one and get one free, and the steelbooks they were selling individually for maybe like £5 or £6. So basically, you'd pay £5, £6 for one steelbook and get the other one for free. So that's how I ended up completing the complete set. This is the seventh Star Trek movie and the second Star Trek movie in featuring the Next Generation crew. Now, I do have the Blu-ray twice because originally I bought the standard Blu-ray version of First Contact, and then obviously later on, this came out. So obviously, I bought the complete collection of the Star Trek movies. So anyway, the movie it's kind of a sequel to the Star Trek episode, the Best of Both Worlds. Now, if you remember in that, Picard was captured by the Borg and turned into Locutus. I mean, it was used as a weapon to destroy the Federation, and then and then Riker was put in command of the Enterprise. I mean, obviously, people would have heard of the Battle of Wolf 359. Characters that has affected with the Borg battle obviously was Commander Sisko and Liam Shaw, who we know from Picard season 3 were all affected by the Borg attack of Wolf 359. So it just shows you how much of an effect that the Borg had, and even how relevant this is to Star Trek season 3 of Picard. So anyway, that obviously we know the Best of Both Worlds. Picard was taken by the Borg, destroyed most of Starfleet, and then it was basically down to the crew of the Enterprise trying to get Picard back and using the knowledge of what they got from Locutus to destroy the Borg. So basically, this is more of a revenge story from the Borg. So this is set like a couple of years after Star Trek Generations. Now, people remember that the Enterprise D got destroyed on Viridian 1, and the only part of it that survived was the saucer section. So now in this, we're set up with the crew of the Enterprise are back, but now they're on board the Enterprise E, which is a Sovereign class starship. And now they're in the new uniforms, which are from Deep Space Nine, I think it's from season 5 onwards, so they're in the new uniforms. We get the sequence of Picard as a Borg, and it's just the whole him being turned into one, and then they've basically redone the whole sequence from how it was in the Best of Both Worlds, with obviously with the big budget effects. And then we see like a dream within a dream. Picard gets a message from Admiral Hayes, that the Starfleet's under attack by the Borg, but the Federation, primarily Admiral Hayes, doesn't want Picard involved in taking out the Borg because of his prior engagement with the Borg. we let find out that the Borg are basically totally destroying all the Starfleet ships on their way to trying to destroy Earth. So then Picard decides to go against orders and then go to Earth to try and stop the Borg. The Admiral Hayes' ship is destroyed, but we know he's still alive because he appears in Voyager. And then it's up to Picard to take over the fleet and try to destroy the Borg. Obviously, he knows all the weaknesses because obviously he was one. We then catch up with Worf, who's aboard the Defiant. Obviously, that's their excuse of bringing in Worf, who's currently on Deep Space Nine, into the movie. Obviously, the Defiant is badly damaged, and obviously, they managed to destroy the Borg ship, but then the Borg managed to have a little escape plan. And then all of a sudden now Earth just becomes assimilated, even though they destroyed the Borg ship. You later find out that that the Borg master plan after having their main ship destroyed is to go back in time and to simulate Earth in the past, making it obviously with Earth being a lot weaker. So the Enterprise and obviously the crew go back, then have to go back in time and have to stop the Borg. The Borg's basic plan is, just to explain, is that we have a guy called Zefram Cochrane who invents warp travel shortly after World War III. And basically that ends up alerting the Vulcans, which then allows them to make first contact with, hence the title of the movie, with the Vulcans, which then establish, because they see that Earth's capable of warp drive, and then that starts off the Federation. But obviously if the Borg now have gone back in time and destroy the missile complex and destroy the Zefram Cochrane's ship before they make first contact with the Vulcans, then it will be easy for them to assimilate Earth and then call the Borg from that century to then destroy the Federation before they ever existed. So obviously Picard and some of his crew go down, try to find out if Zefram Cochrane is alright after destroying the Borg spear. And then obviously this sounds a bit too easy because now that they've destroyed them, but obviously the Borg have always got a plan. And then obviously they try to find Zefram Cochrane, who they believe at first is dead. They then find his friend Lily, played by Althea Woodward, and then Picard starts hearing voices, and then some of the crew of the Enterprise start disappearing. You later find out that what the Borg ended up doing is that after the Borg spheres got destroyed, they transferred themselves onto the Enterprise while the shields were down, and then are trying to assimilate the Enterprise E crew and the Enterprise E itself. So Picard and Data go back, and then with some security crew try to stop the Borg. Obviously, the Borg eventually will adapt to phaser fire, so obviously it's hand-to-hand combat. And then Data gets captured, and then this is where we first meet the Borg Queen. Now, in the encounters that we've seen the Borg in the Next Generation, we've never seen the Borg Queen. This was an element that was added in, obviously, the movie to give them more of a bee-like kind of a control system, in the sense that obviously when you have the bees that create honey, you have the normal worker bees, but you have the queen bee that's obviously running the whole show. Obviously the Borg Queen here is played by Alice Krige. And then Data basically puts the ship, encrypts the ship's code so that the Borg can't take over the ship fully. Obviously Data encrypts it. Now part of the Borg Queen's plan is she wants to sit there and make Data more human by offering that, and also wanting to get the encryption key from Data as well. And then it's a battle of wits with Picard and with Lily, who's now aboard the Enterprise, in trying to stop the Borg. And obviously Picard wants revenge against the Borg because of what they've done to him, and what they made him do in destroying his own, in trying to take away his individuality, and obviously using his knowledge to destroy the Federation. So he's hell bent on revenge, and he knows that the Borg won't stop where they are. Meanwhile, they are back on Earth. Geordi and Riker and some of the next generation called the Enterprise E crew are trying to help Zefram Cochrane fix up his ship, so it would able to, for him to launch the warp travel, so that the Vulcans obviously will see that Earth are capable of warp travel. They let it find out that he's not quite the man that they thought he was, or maybe to that point, because obviously he's a younger version of him, and obviously he's kind of overwhelmed by what his future's going to partake in terms of how important his legacy will be in starting Starfleet. Pardon me. And then basically with the film, it's basically a battle of wits with Picard and the Borg Queen, and obviously looting a lot of the crew, and then Picard going back and having to save Data, and then with Data's help, it's been able to defeat the Borg Queen, and then eventually, obviously, they're able back on Earth to do the warp travel. So then, obviously, the Vulcans are able to see that they're capable of warp travel. So now, Picard and the Enterprise crew basically end up stopping the Borg, and the Federation now is back on course again. This movie was very different from Star Trek Generations, which some people thought of just feeling like it was a 2-hour Next Generation movie. This was more of a kind of a big budget movie. Even the old cinematography was kind of a lot darker, even in tone of how dark the actual movie was. Captain Picard given more of a, aka Patrick Stewart, given more of a action-packed role in the actual movie. We then see the Borg Queen, who we would later see in different iterations of Star Trek, being played by different actresses, and going back and forth with the different actresses that have played the Borg Queen. And as I said, that how this movie is really relevant to what's kind of going on in Star Trek Picard season 3 at the moment now, with what in terms of what's going on with the Borg. And I do know that there's a lot of people out there that don't necessarily, some people that don't like Star Trek First Contact. Maybe they're more into the original crew movies that are around, like say Star Trek The Wrath of Khan, or Star Trek 6 The Understaffed Country, or Star Trek 4 The Voyage Chum. But I really liked Star Trek First Contact. So it's one of my still favourite go-to movies. And as I said, the actual steelbook is actually really beautiful. As you can see, you can even see, I could just close up that, if you look from a certain angle, you can actually see that this, where it says Star Trek and even First Contact, it's actually debossed, and the actual image that they used on this steelbook here is the actual poster that they used for this cinema release. And obviously, and this is Jonathan Frakes' movie director into the big Star Trek movies. He would later direct the next Star Trek movie, which would be Star Trek 8, Star Trek Insurrection, which would be his next movie. So, yeah, I really kind of love this movie in terms of darker. Even with the big budget, to the way that they made the Borg look in the actual big budget movies compared to the Next Generation series, right? They're a lot more kind of scarier. Obviously due to the bigger budget, and obviously better makeup as well. And to me, they were one of the best Star Trek villains. For the Next Generation in their big budget blockbuster movies. And that's for me, Star Trek First Contact for me is an absolute classic. Again, this is the first time we see the debut of the Enterprise E, which is a sovereign class, and I think was the last Next Generation movie that had the special effects done by Industrial Light and Magic. After that, I think it was done by Digital Domain, because I think they were busy at the time. Lucas or ILM as they're known as. I think they were busy doing other movies, so they never did Star Trek Insurrection or Star Trek Nemesis. But I think they would come back to do the Kelvin Star Trek movies. I think, you know, to do the special effects in those movies, and I know with a lot of effects on most of the current modern movies now, they've usually got several different special effect companies working on the particular movie. So sometimes you can have, for example, ILM doing the special effects, and you could have Digital Domain doing the effects, and another company doing the effects. So it's a lot different now, where you just had one company just doing it. But yeah, Star Trek First Contact is one of my favorite Star Trek Next Generation movies, and I think it definitely is. I know Star Trek Six Generations got a rough time, and it went for a lot of script revisions. But I still have a soft spot for Star Trek Generations. But this is definitely my favorite one. What I will do, and what I definitely will do, is I will go back and do a review of Star Trek Generations as well, and which I've got as a steelbook, and the previous 6 other Star Trek movies with the original crew. I will do a review of them, of those movies as well. And when I actually get around to watching Star Trek Insurrection and Star Trek Nemesis, and maybe even the Kelvin time Star Trek movies, I probably will do reviews of them over time. But yeah, I decided to do this one, even though it's going to be chronologically out of order when I review the other Star Trek movies, because seeing as I really wanted to watch Star Trek First Contact because of Picard season 3, and also I'd already watched Star Trek Generations a couple of months ago, so this was going to be the next one in the set of movies in order that I was going to watch. So that's my review of Star Trek First Contact. If you already haven't watched this movie before, depending on what streaming services that you got available in your country, I would highly recommend watch this movie. I mean, you'll definitely enjoy the movie, and you'll never feel like you're bored, and it's even funny in places as well. So yeah, highly recommend watch this movie. Again, I do want to kind of apologise if I sound a bit groggy. I'm just recovering from the flu. Still have a slight sore throat, blocked up nose, and a runny nose. So I do apologise if I do sound a bit groggy during the review of this particular movie. Anyway, I hope people enjoyed this movie and found it informative. Please feel free to share and to like with your friends and family. Also, if you can also give this movie, you can give this video a thumbs up on YouTube, because that will help people find my content and channel on YouTube, because of the YouTube algorithms obviously favouring the bigger YouTubers, so their videos will be advertised on the recommendations on YouTube, whereas mine won't be, because I've also been a small YouTuber. Also, if you haven't, please feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to see stuff like this and other content that's available on my channel. And I'll speak to you all again soon. So wherever you are in the world, please stay safe. Bye for now.